All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again.
The Big Mig.
All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything
All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
life, liberty, and the
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again.
The Big Mig.
Welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Of course, you know how we do it on this show. It's tip of the spear, edge of the knife. And of course, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. I'm your host, Lance Miliaccio, with my co-host, George Ballantine. Rise and grind. It's hump day, George. I know you want to pop out with hump week. I'm limiting you to hump day today. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, well, ain't much humping going on in my life anyway, but that's regardless of the point. A little tired. You know, we did a good crypto show today. We had at 7 a.m. If you missed it, go and catch it. But we got some even bigger things going on today, Lance. Big things. Because they always say everything in Texas, they go big in Texas, right?
Man, I sure hope so. I hope they're going to fix Texas. That's the plan.
Yeah.
That's what the show today is all about.
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to get my friend.
New York Times.
I'm just trying to get my friend Joshua James to go big in Texas. I don't know what he's doing, but that's another day, another story.
New York Times says, George, that the dating pool in New York has gotten really narrow. There's an opportunity, George, these dating events. I understand the ratio is 3 women to 1 man. Of course, you'd have to deal with those New York women that aren't.
You can't pay me enough. Man, no way.
With.
Those are all
But
liberals.
It's a 3 to 1 ratio. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, buddy.
And those liberal women, they're like dead fish in the bed. So no, not happening.
All right. All right. Well, anyway, for anybody out there who didn't see that article, check it out. It's interesting. I guess they're struggling to get men to attend these events.
Can you blame them? I mean, you can't blame the guys. Look at them.
I can't blame them. In fact, going to New York, I really don't want to hear the call to prayer, and I'm not interested in what Mandami's doing. And of course, that is the parasitic, situation we have with our blue states and our blue leadership, and they're just ruining these states. But before we jump in, of course, if you like the show, thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe. Don't forget, if you can join the Big Mig Mafia for $5 a month, you hit that follow button. You can come on and join us and be part of the team. We appreciate it. The people, we've had a boost in subscribers, so thank you guys very much. It's always nice to be thanked for what we're doing here. And if you could do a Rumble Rant tip, those are always greatly appreciated. We're always looking for like-minded sponsors on that note. If you watch the Crypto Power Hour, that's the #1 crypto show on Rumble, 7 a.m. on Wednesdays, 7 a.m. on Fridays. Great show, great stuff. George does these amazing education pieces. So if you want to learn from crypto about on the ground up, or even if you're experienced, we talk about the full gamut. Of course, George and I also like our gold and silver. The guys over at Genesis Gold Group, they do it right. This is the 62.2 gram prepper bar. perforated and very easy to break down. A choice of 3 different denominations. They're pre-perforated, so you can just snap off a small piece. If your U.S. dollar is weak and $40 trillion in debt, it's not looking too great. And of course, asset protection from inflation, diversification, economic turmoil, or its very unique utility for barter and trade. Prepper Bar is a perfect gift for everybody, especially at these prices. Silver's back on its way up. Gold's over 5,200. Hopefully you listened to us 2 years ago and you bought a few of these and jammed them in your sock drawer or your gun safe. If you didn't, there's still time. Head over to thebigmigbar.com. That's right, thebigmigbar.com. George makes it easy. He gives you that QR code there. Take a snapshot, but don't go there. We got a great guest today. Second time he's been on our show. We're happy he's back. Use promo code, all caps PREPPER, P-R-E-P-P-R, P-R-E-P-P-R. That'll get you 10% off on the silver, 5% off on the gold. Thebigmigbar.com.
Yeah, I'm not singing today.
No singing. George is all business after shoveling snow on Sunday and Monday. I can't blame him. That was some crazy snow you guys got out there.
Yeah, but I rested on
Blizzard,
Tuesday.
cyclone.
I rested on Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Hump day, hump week for me, but ain't much going on, but whatever.
All right, we're joined by Ryan Zink. The other day we talked about Texas and talked about the Islamification of Texas and how frightening it is. Not under Ryan Zink's watch, and we're hoping that you guys in Texas will identify that he's the right choice. Texas CD-19. Hopefully I got that right. We're going to be talking about a lot today with Ryan. This isn't the first time he's been on our show. He's a real American, true patriot. And of course, we're talking about the 19th Congressional District. And he's a lifelong Texan, a resident of Wolfforth. Today, we're going to talk about his campaign priorities as a Republican candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Texas. And he's got deep roots in West Texas. He's committed to fighting federal overreach, supporting local farmers and energy workers, and returning power from Washington back to the people and the state. He's a 4th-generation Texan, raised in the Panhandle. And, of course, he brings a grounded, down-to-earth perspective shaped by hard work and a small business and his dedication to community values. And he's lived in Lubbock County for years and previously served in roles supporting Texas Republicans. I'm excited he's here. I always appreciate
Forgot something, though.
Because he's really a no-nonsense guy, and that's what I like about him.
I want to add something to that. So he works in the oil fields in Texas. Oil fields. You know how the oil workers are. There's a tough SOBs. You ever watch the show Landman? He's like one of them dudes in the field. Well, let's bring him on. Welcome to the Big Mig Show, Ryan Zink. What's up, Mr. Landman?
How y'all doing? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I should be really saying, what's up, Mr. Congressman?
I hope so. We're
Ryan,
going to see in just a few days.
Here, we've helped quite a few congressional members get into D.C. We've been instrumental. Hopefully, Hope Sheppelman will be one of the next ones. We were able to get Hurd, his endorsement by Trump. Hurd's a rhino here in Colorado. But of course, he manipulated when he voted for the big, beautiful bill. Trump gave him the endorsement. Of course, the tariffs come out, and Trump, we made sure he was aware that Hurd was going around and saying, oh, yeah, great. I'm happy that the Supreme Court ruled. And any idiot, we always talk about common sense on the show, and that's what I love about our Texans like Ryan. Common sense is common in Texas for the most part. Maybe not when you're talking about Governor Abbott. I'm not sure his common sense taking $14 million in what I would call Islamic-linked money. Don't think that's great. That's not a good look for anybody. But Ryan, you've been a no-shit guy for a long time, and I've always appreciated that about you, that you kind of just say it exactly like it is, like any good Texan would. And it's a big deal. But, I'm really concerned. I don't like what's going on in Texas. Clearly don't like California and New York, but those are easy. I never expected Texas to be heading in the direction it seems to be heading. Of course, with a governor that's taken money from a source like I just described, it brings a lot of things into question. George and I have always been kind of side-eyeing Abbott, I have to be honest. We've never fully embraced him because I always felt like there was something off. George, you tell me if you disagree with me.
I do not disagree with you. I do not like Abbott. I think he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's just letting too many things slide. And like we just did the show on Monday about all these Islamic mosques popping up, him taking his biggest donor is Muslim Pakistani. I mean, what's going on? Just because Trump endorses him doesn't mean it's right, because he has been wrong, and he's wrong on this one.
And that's why I brought up herd, because sometimes endorsements are made for the wrong reasons. And then if you don't pay attention, you end up endorsing somebody whose policies aren't in line with this administration. And, you know, we just got done with the State of the Union. And yes, I think there's a lot of things that are on track. You know, I love the immigration policy that we're trying to push forward. I think the economy is on the right track. It's not fixed. We still got 3% inflation. I don't think the grocery store prices have really dropped as much as they act like they have. I'm still surprised often when I get to the register and I look at it and think, okay, what's going on here? But Ryan, let's talk about some of the stuff. First of all, how's your campaign going? Let's talk about that with the audience.
Man, it's really been going great. You know, I'm just really blessed by the Father to be in the position that I'm in. You know, after years and years of suffering, it's good to see some results finally coming out.
Yeah, I think that's great. So what, you know, tell us right now, let's talk about some of your specific, the policies you think are most important. I think often this administration is out of touch with farmers. They really don't seem to understand the industry unless, of course, they're dealing with the agricultural industrial complex or maybe some of the chemical manufacturers. I thought we were going to get rid of glyphosate. It seemed like it was imminent, and then all of a sudden it was back on. I saw some great technology the other day where they're using lasers to kill weeds and to kill insects, which would be much safer, because I'm always concerned what they're making the farmers do and the manipulation of how they get access for money. I don't know what's wrong with DC, because farmers are really, that's a national security interest, in my opinion.
Yes,
Maybe
it
take
is.
it from there and tell me what you think on that, if you agree.
Okay, so basically what we have is we have a farm bill that's, it's been renewed a couple of times. And inside of that farm bill, there's 12 different points that, that we can really just kind of put out into the general public. So we're looking at commodities, conservation, we're looking at trade, we're looking at nutrition, at credit, rural development, research extension, and the related matters that come with that. It's a little bit more than just the extension. You have forestry, you have energy, you have horticulture, and then they have this nice great big file that doesn't really have a lot in it that's called miscellaneous, and it's like foreign adversaries buying land. Then we have like experimental pilots inside of that. And then, of course, one of the most important aspects of this miscellaneous column is the farmer suicide epidemic, or mental health access gaps that come with it because of multiple year deficits. So when it comes to farming right now, this farm bill is garbage. 76% of it went to SNAP benefits the last time that it was put up, which I don't know if anybody else just wants a whole bunch of people just sitting on, welfare and just eating, chips on the couch. But for me, that doesn't do anything for our farmers. Here in West Texas, we're a food, fiber, and fuel region. And that's really where we come together across the nation. Now, cotton is king here in Lubbock. That's one of the things that we have, but it's not just Lubbock. It's Lubbock, it's Plainview, it's Abilene, it's all the way up to Midland, Texas. You've got it all the way across, even up towards like Happy, Texas, and moving all around. This district is 30,000 square miles. Okay, it's bigger than some states. And we have over 700,000 people that live in this district, and a majority of them are waiting on this farm bill to actually stop bailing out these major ag companies like Bayer and Monsanto and John Deere and all these others. And so like what I'm hearing from the region, from the farmers that I'm talking to, they're, these major ag industries, they're using us as test pilots, jacking up the prices for us to pay for it, and then they go to other countries and they sell it for pennies on the dollar. So I'll give you an example of this. It's $494 to buy a bag of cotton seed right now. And it actually, I heard that it actually went up closer to $490 this week. I have not confirmed that myself, but I was told that earlier this week. And so they will charge us, the farmers here, a technology fee. And that technology fee can be pretty much any amount that they want to add into. But then when they go to countries
Ryan,
like...
isn't that identical to the pharmaceutical companies that they try to pass through their R&D and their technical costs? We get gouged, and yet you can go to a foreign country and buy pharmaceuticals for pennies on the dollar as compared to what we pay. Insulin, as an example, it's always been overpriced here. What they charge insurance companies, charge the uninsured people that need it to survive. And I was unaware of this. So you're telling me they're doing the same thing with our example seed. these here we pay the big price. What do they pay in other countries for that same bag of seed, Ryan?
Sometimes less than $100.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Lance,
If
hold on.
anything, they should pay more for the seed, and we should pay less.
I have a
Don't you
question.
think?
I have a question. If they're growing, let's say cotton, right? And they once they farm the cotton, can't they get the seeds out of that?
Yes. So, I mean, we have, the gens and stuff that can produce that out. But then you have to look at the liabilities too, like who owns the land, who's leasing the land, what companies are going out. Is it a research and development deal? Is it allowed to be, put out into the public? I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that are there. But sometimes what we're seeing with some of this cotton is I've talked to multiple farmers in the area that they got seed that wasn't viable. And anytime that seed holds over, so they do all this, genetic testing and everything else to modify these plants so that they'll grow a specific way for that harvest. A majority of these big sample batches that we're seeing of some of their most successful products, the seed from those are not viable the next year. They won't grow a plant.
So they intentionally make it so the seed, you can't take the seeds out from your crop and save them because they don't want it to be viable because they want to sell you another $500 bag of seed. I also understand that the big companies will independently send testers out. Let's say that somehow you state that you're not using their seed, but there's cross-pollination, and that means that when they tested it, it'll appear as though it is a Monsanto seed, and they will crack you legally. Is that true?
Yeah, so there is a lot of lawfare when it comes to stuff like that too. That is one of the issues that has been brought up too. So there are very specific ways around that, but what farmer? So let's just say that I'm a farmer and I get hit with this. What farmers actually have the money to go up and fight against a corporation like Bayer Monsanto or any of these others that are coming out with these? It's ridiculous to me that there's even an assault on them at all with the overwhelming. I mean, just the input cost alone of farming is extravagant right now. I mean, it is extraordinary how much it costs. And there's this is just like one issue out of the fact that like we're losing our rural hospitals here. And just in Jones County, we've lost 2, and it's not fair. It's not fair out here.
It's hard to compete in rural areas paying the doctors because, of course, there's a shortage in a lot of states.
Wait a minute. What if we just curtail all the fraud like Minnesota, Ohio, California? We'd have money for these hospitals and pay these doctors and possible,
Well, and the fraud in general, we're talking about billions and billions and potentially trillions when you extend it out. Look at Doge. The amount of money that gets wasted. And like I said a little while ago, one of the biggest problems I'm also understanding these farmers is generational farming has really changed, that the families don't want to run the farms. They don't want to stay because they've been through it. They see how awful it is for the farmers. They're dealing with issues like seed and other company issues. And it's a problem, right? The young kids don't want to deal with it because it isn't profitable enough. I feel like sometimes, and we've done it with so many of the industries, even the meat processing plants for the cattle ranchers. I understand there's a group of them that are trying to put together the funds to open up their own meat processing. Yes. But it's the orchestration of that. And then, like you said, it's the importation of low cost, low quality products from out of the country. They bring them in. The food basically nutritionally is just trash. We had an expert on our show not too long ago, Ryan, a couple of days, maybe it's a week ago now. And we were talking about the products that were being fed to the military and how nutritionally deficient they are, and how they're full of poisons. They're importing this stuff from China. Now, think about that. We're giving our military forces food. We have tons of farmland, some of the richest farmland in the entire globe. And because farmers are being treated the way they are, I have to think that the farmers are screaming for the rooftops to get you elected.
Oh, I would definitely hope so, because I am a real fighter for this. Like, we have to have our farmers. This is not a negotiable option. Anything that you touched or did today, think of farmer, because I guarantee you it's behind it. And it's so sad to me to see that, we are losing family farms out here, and a majority of these bills that are going forward, they're only to promote like the large farms, large scale ag. And I'm a fighter for small farms. I have a homestead at my house. I grow my own vegetables. We're going to have some chickens here as soon as we get through these last final cold snaps, to where we have our own eggs and we do that kind of thing. Cause this is Texas. Let's go, baby. But, when it comes down to it, there's just not enough being done, and there's so many holes in what this bill and our farmers are actually needing, because any way across the board, I mean, these preference and price points that are being set up, like you're talking about, the ranchers that are coming in, sometimes these guys are selling in as low as $4 a pound, and then these major processing companies, they're selling out for $9 a pound. And
It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah,
Taking
and
so
just
much of the
just
money
in the
and
last
leaving so
week,
little on the table that these guys, how do you stay profitable? And I got to ask you this, Ryan, since we're talking about farmland, we've seen this vast accumulation, like people like Bill Gates buying up farmland, which I think shouldn't be allowed. And he's not the only one. And then what about the Chinese? Have you seen any farmland in your areas get bought by the Chinese, which they're buying it a lot of times right next to very sensitive facilities? We've been told by several people that are anti-CCP that these are being used as safe houses for different levels of Chinese military, meaning they might have 8 different divisions of the country. I don't mean full divisions, but individuals from different divisions, intelligence organizations. We've been infiltrated. Even Iran is alleging that they've got sleeper cells already here in the United States and they're ready to take action. What about the Chinese land grab and maybe people like Gates? Why is this billionaire asshole allowed to accumulate like he is when we know that his plan isn't good? We know he's a globalist. I don't understand why David Sachs, one of the most offensive moments is when I saw this scumbag sitting next to Melania Trump, a guy that went to Epstein Island allegedly 27 or 28 times. Clearly, he must have known what was going on and he must have been participating. And then on the other side is Mark Zuckerberg, $460 million Mark Zuckerberg. What was David Sachs thinking? And can you tell me this? Talk about the Chinese farmland land grab. Let's talk about Gates and that grab.
So I don't think that if you're not, I think that if you're not from this country, you shouldn't be able to own land. That's just the way that I see it. Because anytime that these developers want to come in, one of the biggest issues that we have with these outside influences coming in is they want to build AI data centers, which I do feel like that's also a level of national security, because we do have to stay ahead in the AI game. We do have enemies that would absolutely love to see us destroyed, and technology advancement is one of the requirements that we have with the Department of War, and we do have to stay out ahead of it. But these ones that are coming into my region over here, they want to use 500 million gallons of water. We don't have that kind of water over here. We have good, clean, fresh Ogallala aquifer water, but it's only going to last for so long. What are we looking at? 2030, 2050 by the time that it runs out? We're right now, I think we're seeing there's going to be like 5 in Midland, Texas. That's just outside of my reach here for my district. But we have them going in Abilene and in Plainview and in Amarillo. Amarillo is also just outside of my reach. But these foreign investment groups and all of these people, yes, they're buying up land all across, and particularly around our military bases, which I think is ridiculous. But we could avoid a majority of this just by writing a bill in that says if you're not from this country, you can't buy up land. Oh, and by the way, I'm also for if you're a dual citizen, you can't serve in public office either, because we've seen a large uptake of that too. And I just think that it's just so much crap. You could sell it in bags at Home Depot. And it's just not cutting it anymore. Like our farmers in this area, the price of land's going up. I don't know if you guys have seen the price of a combine anytime recently, but some of those can get as high as $1 million. We're losing our health care. We're losing everything over here. And I got a plan to fix all that. But it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some real effort. And farmers are going to have to get loud, because it hasn't been fair to them. It really hasn't.
The farmers, and of course, over in France, took it into their own hands. We've seen in the Netherlands, same thing, where they've taken and they've gone right into the government areas and sprayed them down with manure and all kinds. And I think that's what it's going to require. Here's my issue that really, for me, and this show, we go after everybody, right? We're still talking about Epstein. We're still talking about what we were promised on transparency, accountability, and consequences. I still see these J6 committee assholes walking around doing whatever they want. I still see Adam Schiff, committing mortgage fraud, Letitia James. Basically, there's still this rules for thee, not for me. I'm not thrilled with a lot of the members of the administration, specifically Pam Bondi and Kash Patel at the moment. I don't see the arrests going the way they are. I'm not really angry about Kash going to the hockey thing. I think that was good, and I think it's America. I'm not sure he should have been videotape, slamming beers. But again, he's a guy, and I get that, and I don't really that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is what I thought was going to happen. I don't think there's time to dilly-dally, right? We need guys like you in DC because it's a uniparty. You got one group that's actively attempting to destroy the country. They talk about, the tariffs this and tariffs that. Meanwhile, we're taking in more money on tariffs than ever when we're getting it from other countries. I can't figure out why they don't think that's good policy, regardless of the law. But they're ready to enforce the law when it comes to tariffs, but they're not going to enforce the law on anything else, like Joe Biden's auto pens. And I think we need somebody like you that's just not going to take any crap from anybody. And that, I've always said in DC, we need pipe hitters with brains, because what we have right now are people like AOC that can't string two sentences together, Kamala Harris. And of course, I've called often, and I want to ask you this about lobbying money, super PAC money, foundation, NGO money. We see so many ways that these, government officials have money funneled towards them. I think that the congressional members in DC should have to do two things. Number one, I think they should have to wear NASCAR-style jackets. The largest pastures are from their largest donors. And just like shows, as we pumped Genesis Gold, they're a sponsor of the show. We get money from, George and I really are gold and silver stackers. We like the product, and we believe in it. The point is, I think that you should have to be a disclaimer if you're going to get up in front of Congress and you're going to start to spout off of why, we should be supporting big ag. Then I want you to talk about, before you get ready to say that, if you took money from any big ag. Did Monsanto pay you? Did anybody pay you? And if so, how much money did you get? Because that disclaimer, we have to live for it. The FCC says that a show like ours has to acknowledge sponsorship. We can't hide it, just like on social media. I don't know why they don't enforce it on social media. We know the Democrats gave lots of influencers tons of money. How do you feel about that? Because that's one of the biggest problems we have. Lobbying, in my opinion, is a major issue in most cases because it's a manipulation of the system.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's why I haven't taken one single red cent from any PAC or any lobbyist organization in both of my campaigns. Not a dime. And anybody can feel free to go and check my FEC record on that, because there's nothing there. And and I just think it needs to be done away with altogether. What do we really need lobbyists for? And I'm running against the lobbyists right now. 30 years, started with Larry Combest. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a great guy, but you can't give money to both sides of the party. You can't advocate on one side for major ag and then say, woe is me with the government, then at the same time be lobbying for the same position, for those companies.
I agree. My fix to the American public.
My fix for that is, when all the donations, they should go into one pool, divide it up, and distribute it evenly to all the candidates. This way, there is no trying for favoritism, none of that when it comes to donations.
Yeah, and I just think that the system is entirely unfair. You look at my campaign, I'm currently fighting against, on two candidates, we're looking at almost $2 million from outside money that's come in from wherever. And the only people that I've ever asked to donate to my campaign are the ones that believe in me, who know my J6 story, who know about me being tortured. And the reason that I'm fighting for this seat and fighting for farmers is because I've had enough. There's 3 books that govern this land: the Bible, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. And it's finally time for Christian men, the ecclesia, and the body of Christ to rise up and change the votes in this country. Only 12% of the church votes. If we got everybody to go out and just vote their faith, half of these Democrats that are pushing abortion and all these other things, they would be completely eradicated from the scene, because the church would show up and then we could live under the blessings that the Father has for us. But until we restore him all the way up to the top of every institution, every school, every place, everywhere, we're never going to prosper. And we see this time and time again, where countries begin to shove God out of the country, and then major war, famine, everything else breaks out. It's the wrath of God. It's serious.
Yeah, you have to have God definitely first. Another thing is, after that, is we have to fix our voting. Yes. Let's face it, the Democrats are great at cheating. They continue to do it.
Voter ID, one day, paper ballots in English, no machines.
Mondami got caught a little bit the last couple of days, where he wanted them to show up to shovel snow.
Yeah.
They had to bring 2 IDs to
get
IDs.
Paid.
It's a federal program. But and he's blaming the feds for it. My argument is, he's got control of the money. He could do what he wants. But here's my argument. you got to have ID to buy a gun. You got to have ID to get employed. You got to have ID to join the military. You got to have ID to go get married. For some reason, both sides of the aisle have decided, and we know why. It's not really for some reason, that we don't need ID to vote. And that is so obvious that they all want to cheat. They don't know how to fight a free and fair election. Cheating is ingrained into the system. I love the fact that you support voter ID because it's a big issue. I don't want, they just found a group the other day, a group of Pakistanis in a large group voting in our federal elections. They've never even been in the country. Somehow they figured out how to get votes submitted. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're voting in our elections, even though they don't have anything to do with our election. Probably because they have family members here, and maybe they own some Leering centers or some autism centers where they're getting all that money. Who knows? All right, we're going to take a short break here with Ryan Zink. We'll be right back. And of course, George Valentine, myself, Lance Maniacho. You know how we do it. We're bringing the rain and bringing the pain today. It is what it is, one day after the State of the Union. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. But while we're on the break, here's the homework. Take that live link, share it far and wide. Let's expand our voice. And please hit the follow button. If you can't do the paid subscription, I know it's a tough economy. Just hit that follow button and leave a comment, get in the replies, and jump in that chat. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Stay tuned.
Still alive, and it's time to blow.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on earth, these canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.
All right, right, welcome back to the Big Show. Here we host Lance Migliaccio, George Bounty, and our special guest running for Congress in Texas District 19, Ryan Zink. But I have a message. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, follow button, like, share, and share this video everywhere. Get this man support. Get him across the finish line. He needs it. We need it. Everybody needs it. But let me give a shout out to our sponsor, BlockTrustIRA.com. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday people. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This sophisticated technology, once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, now it's available to you. And the system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. Clients are already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all military-grade security and up to $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected. So don't wait. Visit BigMigCrypto.com today and join this financial revolution. Once again, visit BigMigCrypto.com today, and you can get up to $2,500 of free crypto. QR code's right next to me. Take a screenshot, save it to your photo files. Don't go there yet, because we got some news. Now, Lance, I don't know if you caught it when he was talking earlier, Mr. Zink over here, but he said something, and I'm like, I'm not going to bring it up until after the break. You mentioned tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Want to elaborate on that, please?
Oh, yeah. So I was a January 6th defendant. I was at the Capitol working on my father's campaign, and I was protecting police officers on the East Porch. I never went inside the building, never assaulted anybody, never broke anything. And for that, on February 4th, the federal government drove through the front of my house with a 12-foot battering ram, causing like $20,000 in damage, flashbanging my dogs to the point to where they both have PTSD. Now it's been all the way up until this year, fighting everything out until I got my pardon on January 20th. But while I was in Washington, D.C., I was tortured while I was there. That staff at that facility, they poisoned me. I have scars all over my arms and my wrists from how tight they put the handcuffs on me. They were putting chemicals and bleach inside of my food. The first cell that I was in was a 1/4 inch deep in urine and feces from someone else. And I went in at like 180 pounds, got down to 130 pounds. And, it was really just an awful time. But the kicker to boot on that, just one of the things that I've come out recently and have decided to start talking about, is the 2 miscarriages that me and my wife had during this time while being politically persecuted, by the Gestapo SS Biden administration, that was going through and rounding people up just for no apparent reason. And that's why I'm in this fight. The blood of my children cries out, and they deserve justice. And we have to take America back, because if it can happen to me, there's only 4 executive orders right now that are holding back the wall of it happening to you. And we have to get into Congress and codify those so that we can protect the American public.
Many people that haven't been through the system, they don't really understand that the BOP and the DOJ are not what people think. The Department of Justice is really more a Department of Injustice. I'm not very happy with Pam Bondi for a number of reasons, because I thought we'd see a lot more arrests by now. I think it's one of the not great policies of this administration that what they told us, that transparency, accountability, and consequences were going to be a top priority. I haven't seen that so far. Maybe they're going to surprise me. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, there's an operation and there's this secret and they're doing this and okay, maybe they are." But so far, that's not what I'm hearing out of D.C., and we've got pretty good connections. I'm not hearing about an operation. If there was, I wouldn't talk about it. I'd just leave it alone and just wait. But you firsthand saw the inside of the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons weaponized system. It was weaponized against you and the J6ers. We know it was a Fedsurrection. We know that it was conspired. We know that they destroyed exculpatory evidence. They hid exculpatory evidence. They committed Brady violations, Giglio, Whitley, and the list goes on and on. I just don't understand why, and there's a couple of things I really don't like. Number one, I don't like lifetime appointments of judges. I think it puts them in a position where there's no accountability. Right. I don't like the DOJ or the judges having absolute and qualified immunity, because even when they violate the law, they will frame it in such a way that they say, "Oh, yeah, but they were doing it in their position. You can't sue them." Not true. But of course, when you go for oversight, and I don't know how familiar you are with this, you probably are. Yep. Civil Rights Division, Office of Professional Responsibility, Public Integrity Division, and the OIG Those are the 4 divisions that are supposed to be oversight. Now, I don't know how you have the foxes watching the hen house because they're all DOJ departments. And if you submit any kind of a complaint on a civil rights violation, on a prosecutorial misconduct, on a destruction of evidence, you will get nothing but bullshit back from those agencies. And I'm sure you were in there with other people that weren't J6ers. Maybe for the audience, you ought to just share with them quickly, because that has to be fixed. It's bullshit what they're getting away with. And they're doing it over and over and over again. When you're a regular American, they will weaponize against you. They hit, I don't know, Rand, if you went through this, the normal process is they indict you, and then they try to make you take a plea, and then they threaten you with the superseding indictment. And if you don't comply, then they stack the charges. I don't know if that happened to you. Did it?
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So they originally came in. It appeared that I was looking at pretty much a life sentence when all that started. They swore all the way up until the day of trial that I had gone in the building, assaulted police officers, and was there to overthrow the government. I refused to take a plea deal. I bend the knee for no man. I serve the Lord above. I fear nothing. And so I refused my plea deal. And then for that, they tried to give me 30 years in prison, 3 decades for never even going in the building. So I know full well.
Ryan, I know one thing that happened with the J6ers that a lot of people try to hide is that one guy gets his discovery and he might get a couple of video clips. Never the stuff, never the exculpatory evidence. It's always the inculpatory. But in that process, sometimes other J6ers heard about video that, like in your case, prove you were innocent, prove that you hadn't committed the crimes. But did that happen to you where all of a sudden there was none of that in your discovery to show that you weren't guilty, but it would turn up in another J6 defendant's like, hey, Ryan, I just saw you and it proves you didn't go in the building. Did you have any of that happen? And of course, when you tried to get it into the courts, the weaponized judiciary, right? And I'm not saying there aren't any good judges. There are some good judges, but there are lots of judges that are not good judges. They are corrupt. Did you find that happening where you might see evidence that proved your innocence, but then again, they wouldn't even let you get it in there because they're like, oh, that wasn't in your discovery. You can't submit that.
Yeah, so they tried everything under the sun to do it. As a matter of fact, the only things that we had to defend me was done in that manner. And so now that Trump's administration is back in, and I'd like to clarify and make a key point about these arrests, like with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and everything else.
What arrests?
And then, so the Trump administration arrested 67 people before he left office over January 6th. And then the Biden administration within 6 months had arrested over 600 people for walking through a building. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you look
by the way,
at that,
the People's Building, I might add, we paid for it. It's the People's Building. It's not Congress's building. It's not the U.S. government's building. We paid for it. It's our building for the people, by the people, not, oh, this is our government building and you're not allowed in here. That's bullshit.
Yeah, well, I mean, and when you look at January 6th, this ought to be a warning shot for everybody involving the Patriot Act, because they were able to classify me as a white Christian nationalist. And, you know, I'll take that. Like, sure, go ahead. But they're literally compiling people with AI. They were paying the sedition hunters hundreds of thousands of dollars to go in and find people doing stuff that they couldn't do. The prosecutors in my case, I had 3 prosecutors, okay? I had the first prosecutor, he lied on Trennis Evans' case, and he was dismissed from my case over that. Then I had 2 volunteer prosecutors come in, who one of them works for an organization in New York where she's the attorney. They volunteered. They were Democrats that came in. And that's the title of my book that's coming out pretty soon. It's called Guilty Until Proven Democrat. And so when you look at this, the Patriot Act allows all 3 branches of the government to work against the American people. And this is exactly what happened. And James Emanuel Boasberg, many of you are familiar with this judge, you just don't know it. This is the judge that tried to make the airplane turn back around with the 127 Venezuelan illegal immigrants on.
Yeah, Boasberg.
Still fighting the Trump
he's
administration.
A POS that should be wrapped up.
Yeah, that was my judge. That was my judge. That activist loser in robes is the man that sentenced me to prison because I would not apologize for being at the Capitol of January 6th. You will never get an apology from me.
And undeserved. And that's my point. They say that a judge, when he puts the robe on, is supposed to leave all political bias at the door. And that is not what's happening here in this country.
It's kind of hard to do that when you've donated
they're bringing
millions
their bias
to
in.
Democrats.
They're manipulating the system. AI, I want to tell you something. If we took every, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna run a number here on you guys that you might not have ever heard, because I've done a lot of sampling. I'm kind of an AI guy at this point. I use it all the time. I've created some super legal agents in AI, prosecutorial misconduct, civil rights, obstruction of justice, deprivation of rights under color of law. I've trained it. My super agent has, I asked it to make sure it was more skilled than the top 10 Supreme Court justices in history, more intelligent. And of course, since it has damn near perfect photogenic memory, it's able to analyze everything. I'm going to go on a limb. If we took every ruling and every filing first we'll start with prosecutors, every federal filing in any criminal case in the United States, and we ran all the prosecutors' motions and replies through the system, and then we did the same for judges on their rulings, I would venture a guess that AI would come back and say that in 80 to 90% of the cases, the law was manipulated, misquoted, misapplied, misinterpreted, or just in fact straight up fucking lied about in 80 to 90% of all criminal cases across the United States. I don't want to get too far off track here because I do want to talk about your policies because I'm doing the audience a disservice. But that's the problem. And I want the audience to grasp the reason I like Ryan, because he's been forged in fire. This is not a guy that's just coming on and saying, you need to elect me. I believe the best people in life, I don't care whether they have a felon in front of their name or otherwise, when you're forged in fire, you become a different kind of a human being because you recognize things and you see things differently. And whether you find God or whether you just find lots of knowledge along the way, it changes you. And I think that's important because most of these people in DC, they've never been business people. They have low IQs. They're grifters and liars and cheats. And I believe that being forged in fire makes you a much more valuable person because you've seen it from both sides. That's number one. Let's dig in. I want to switch gears because I do not want to run out of time with you. Energy and oil. Of course, this is one of the big wins for we're drilling, drill, baby, drill. One of the best. This president has done an amazing job. Hopefully we're getting everything back on track. I don't know the Keystone Pipeline. Hopefully everything's going the way it should. If it's going to, I don't know about with Canada now what'll happen. Because, of course, Canada is a problem more and more every day. But what do you think about energy and oil, gas independence? We need to get our strategic reserve. Biden did a great job of stripping it out.
Oh, yeah.
Total piece of shit that he was. Tell me what your feeling is on this. What's your position?
So we have to get our reserves up first and foremost. I think that's one of the most critical things that we have. We need that for national security. We have to have a standby product in order to go to war and defend ourselves should it come to our shores. So as far as I'm concerned, oil and gas may be one of the only ways that we pay down our national deficit of nearly $40 million to. We have to start working with our allies in order to sell oil and gas products so that we can start paying down this debt. And I can't think of any better way to do that than drill, baby, drill. I work in the oil field. I audit 55 gas plants, 4 water treatment plants, and, a couple dozen employees, 100 employees, whatever we're up to right now. And, it means something to me to stand out there every single day in my hard hat, my boots with my 4-gas monitor, because I know every single second that pipeline's running, that there's going to be people that can drive to go see their families, that there's going to be people that can keep the lights on. And so American energy independence is not just a word to me. American energy independence means that we're going to keep gas prices low here in the United States to make sure that the average family has the capabilities of filling up their tank. I won't lie. I work in the oil field. I believe in a traditional marriage. My wife's a stay-at-home mother, and I love it that way. That's the way that I have it. If you don't like that, you can do your own family thing. But sometimes we struggle when diesel gets too high. Sometimes we struggle when groceries are out of control. But that's the reality for a majority of Americans is that there's not enough to go around right now. And so a part of maintaining America's energy independence and stability is cutting out unnecessary spending. Like when they send, $100 billion to Nigeria for transgender frogs or whatever they're going to try to do next. We have to get back to common sense. You don't put everything on the credit card and just expect to never pay it. Like we're transitioning $1 trillion just to offset the debt, the interest debt that we're carrying. I have 2 children. I've got one that's on the way right now, and I've got a 19-month-old. We're here. What are we going to leave them if we don't get this under control? So I'm drill, baby, drill. I think that we should open it up. I think that we need to repeal certain agencies like the EPA. You can go ahead and add the FBI for that one too. But, as far as I'm concerned, there's too many restrictions that are being placed. And this is coming from a safety guy. This is coming from somebody who it's my job to keep people safe. It's my job to look outside and think outside the box on ways to get something done that would normally be a risky assessment. They have too much power.
When it comes to the agencies, I'm not a big fan of the Bureau of Land Management either.
I'm not either.
I don't like what they're doing to our wild horses. I don't like a lot of their policies. Our wild horses have been here longer than any other game animal in the United States. A lot of the other game animals crossed over from Asia, like our elk, the antelope, and the wild horses have been here longer. So there are a lot of agencies we waste a lot of money on. Doge was going to clean it up, and then crickets. We were supposed to have all these arrests. I mean, Chelsea Clinton got $84 million from Doge. She went out and bought an $11 million mansion, spent $3 million on a wedding. I'd like to have an $11 million mansion. I don't have one because I haven't ripped off the U.S. government. We've got people driving around in Ferraris in Beverly Hills that have got multiple autism centers that have never seen one client. They've got child learning centers that have never seen one child in there. You're also a big supporter, and as Pete Chambers and George, you and I talk about this all the time, and I'm going to let you run from here. Border security and law enforcement, George, kind of a win this year so far with Trump.
Not kind of. It is a win because the borders are shut down. There's no illegals pretty much coming over. More importantly, too, there's a lot of the drugs been cut out from coming over. You don't hear so much about the overdose deaths, the fentanyl. Even though cocaine, they say the price of cocaine's coming back on the rise, though.
No, they say it's down. They say the wholesale price of cocaine is down, which was surprising to me. We saw a report the other day. I was shocked. I don't know how that's happening. I don't know how they're smuggling it in because we're blowing those drug boats out of the water, which I agree with that. We warned them. They're still doing it. I don't think you can candy ass the cartels, the CJNG. George and I did a show about a year and a half ago now. It looks like I didn't even realize it was that long, but George actually came up with that. I think he's right, maybe a year and a half. We called out how well-equipped they were buying, they've got weapons that were smuggled out of Afghanistan, quad mono goggles, Barrett 50s, Browning 50 cals, even, some surface-to-air missiles that they got caught with. My point is it's pretty frightening. Your policies on border security and law enforcement, I'd like the audience to understand where you stand.
All right, so I'm a little different than most people. I have a 50-50-50 plan for the border. Every 50 yards, there's a 50 caliber machine gun with 50,000 pounds. So that's the way I see it. We have to set a hard line, okay? I do not believe that we should turn immigration back on yet. I think we need to focus on the 20 to 50 million people that are here. We just talked briefly earlier about the fact that, Iran and ISIS are saying that they have cluster cells inside of the U.S., that they're ready to activate at any moment. That's all fine and dandy until we catch you. I support ICE. I will always support ICE. I'm big on law enforcement. I think that judges that give inappropriate sentencings to where an illegal immigrant goes out and escapes and kills an American ought to be punished right along with that person. I have a good friend. Many people have heard her name. I'm very good friends with her brother. His name is Michael Morin. And I promised his family that I would talk about this every single time when it comes to immigration, because Rachel Morin was assaulted and murdered and her body was left in a bar ditch for somebody else to find. And that man previously in California had assaulted a young mother and 2 children in California, and he was not caught. And it cost Rachel Morin her life. And until we secure our borders and get these people out of here, no amnesty. I'm not for it. No anchor babies. If I go into a store and I put on a pair of overalls, that doesn't make me a gardener, and I get to stay in the store and grow my garden there. I get to go home and do whatever I have to do in order to make it work. So I'm really sick of the politics that are floating around this. I think there's a lot of politicians that are just full of a bunch of crap because they know exactly what's going to happen with immigration and border security. The census is coming, and those illegal immigrants get counted, and then it shifts the way that people vote because they're going to redistrict those maps, and that's the way that it comes out. That's been their plan all along. We see it, and it's time for enforcement on it.
Well, we still got a lot of these illegals to find and ship them back over, but you're right. The census is. I was going to say consensus, Lance.
You almost said consensus.
I know.
George the other day said consensus, and then I repeated him because he said it, and we were thinking census, and we had to have the audience correct us, like a couple of back east guys screwing up. But look, the census, it's kind of rigged. We know it. Right when the immigration was going on, I always talk to the audience. George did too. Common sense. There's no reason that you need all these illegal immigrants here, and you want them, other than if you only want it for one reason: a gigantic ghost voter pool, because you moved them all over the country. Nobody knows where the hell they're at. And now all of a sudden,
Governor Abbott did that.
Javier Rodriguez is going to vote for Biden every single time. And every time he's in a different state, they'll just duplicate it. We'll have 30 or 40 million votes that magically appear overnight. Deadmocrats, which is a word that George and I coined on the show. It's on the Urban Dictionary. You'll see that it's accredited to us. My point is this. That's the issue, right? Because our voting system is so full of fraud. Immigration was a big part of that plan. But, the corruption, really, you got one group that's actively participating. You've got some of the other ones that probably participated, but then you got the other group that says, oh, no, we don't need to have voter ID. But meanwhile, they want stricter gun laws. They want to make sure that we've got to be, they want to do an anal cavity search on us when we go through the airports. I mean, it just doesn't stop. ID. Oh, no, but not when you vote. Just come on in, whatever. They're registering illegal voters out in California. The other day there was a big video that
in New Mexico.
out. Yeah. And I talked about the Pakistani voters, a big block of Pakistanis voting from overseas that had never even been in the country. You look at how they weaponize zones like they did the Somalian zones. Waltz, another traitor to the country. Yes. But I don't know how we fix it. What do you think about this election system? Right now, we still have the damn machines. We're not using paper ballots. We're not doing same-day hand count. All these other third world countries seem to be able to complete their elections. I'm not saying they're free and fair. I'm just saying they seem to complete them. But now we want to have days and days and days. They want to let people use paper ballots. They have these voter rolls that are fully corrupted. What's your thoughts on the voting system? Because right now, I think it's a catastrophe. And I don't think this administration is moving quickly enough. I'm very concerned about the midterms.
I am too. I think that this could be our 1776 moment when it comes to voting, because we do not have, real, fair, safe elections right now in this country. And that should concern everyone. And so one of the things that I'd like to point out is that if you go back and you look at Arizona and Michigan and a couple of other these Supreme Court rulings that are fixing to come out, you have to pay attention to the fact that the people are the only one that have the standing. It's not the elected officials that have it. The people of the United States of America have to stand up, and you have to get it to a vote. I say this every time that I go onto a program, or at least most of the time, is that federal elections are lost at the local level. You have to go and vet these candidates out that are becoming your mayor, that are becoming your precinct chair, your city councilman, even your school boards, because these people gain power. And that's the problem that we have, is that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's where we're at right now. They don't feel like the American people are worth having a good vote. And that's why we don't see it. You got the turtle holding up things in the Senate, making sure that, the SAVE Act doesn't go through. And I'm not okay with that. He's nearly in a comatose state right now. And we have got to get to the point to where the American people own their voter information. There should never, ever be a candidate, a county, a precinct, a state, anything, any kind of organization that represents the people of the United States. They should never, ever be allowed to say no to an audit or no to the release of information.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Thune is just sitting around. He's got to 50 votes. He's just got to drop the filibuster. I mean, but he doesn't want to do it.
Thune's a piece of shit.
I mean, nobody's listening to. Okay, if you just look at voter ID, period. CNN did a poll where I think it's like 70% of all Americans approve of it. Might be even higher, of voter ID. But yet, all the Democrats voted against it, not listening to their constituents.
Well, what do they care? They already have their money.
100%. And that's the issue, right? They talk and talk and talk. Their actions speak louder than words. They're all telling us they're going to fix the country and they're going to fix voting.
You know how you fix it?
That isn't going to happen. When the government says, I'm coming to fix or to help, run. Ronald Reagan.
You know how you fix it? Vote for a guy like this.
I agree. So we got your website up there, but before we get to that, George, let's leave the website up. But I want to also have him talk about veterans and small businesses. We're big supporters of veterans. We're big supporters of law enforcement on this show. Let's talk about the support you're getting from them and maybe talk about some of the things they're concerned with, why George is showing your website.
So when it comes to veterans, I am very, very proud to be endorsed by Veterans for America First. I consider it the honor of my life, since I have never served. that they would choose me out of the other 7 candidates in this 8 candidate race. So the biggest concerns that we have right now, I'm in 100% support of the Major Richard Starr Act. If you served in the military, you should not have to choose between your retirement and your VA benefits. That's crap. Our veterans earned it. They didn't ask questions for the water they drank, for the air they breathed, or the people that they went and fought. We shouldn't be asking questions over whether or not they get their retirement. So the second thing that veterans are very concerned about right now, and I will fight tooth and nail for, is to make sure that they get their insurance cards so that they can go to civilian doctors and we can just go ahead and just start rolling back the VA healthcare system because it's crap. Most of the time, when you get seen by a doctor at the VA, the decision is not made by somebody that was in the room with you. It's made by somebody who's above them in the chain of command. And then we have, plausible deniability to say, oh, it's not in the budget. It's not this. It's not that. Stop it. Stop it. Send them to get the help that they earned when they gave up portions of their life for this country. And some of them paid the ultimate sacrifice, not just with their life, but with their mind. And that's why I'm very, very against the weaponization of mental health care against our vets. We've got to get rid of these red flag laws. There is no reason to confiscate their guns or take their children from them. We need to be fostering ways to get them help. There's all kinds of different solutions out there that people are looking at. Ibogaine, DMT treatments that have been successful at pulling back, all of this trauma and therapy. For a short period of time, I went through a lot of these portions after getting out of prison, after being tortured by my own government, after losing 2 of my children. There were times that I needed help. I can only imagine what it would have to be like for somebody to look you in the face and say, if you need this kind of help, we're going to take everything else away from you. That's crap. They deserve better. So when
disgusting.
And it is, because how terrible is the VA health care?
But we'll give unlimited health care to illegal immigrants, depending on what state you're in. They also got to stand in line in front of veterans at the VA and misuse those services. And of course, the theft, the billions that they've allowed these people to steal and funnel out of the country. I mean, I've heard this story in Minneapolis, I can't even believe it, where they're taking suitcases with millions and millions of dollars in U.S. currency and just walking right out of the airport, walk right and get on their plane. Or meanwhile, you and I have to report $600 in Venmo payments. Somebody sells you $600, they want you to put it on the tax return. They can pound salt on that. And I think what they've done to veterans is a major disservice. I've never thought the benefits were enough for what they go through. You're right. They've been exposed to all kinds of things, and the government has turned a blind eye towards it and acted as if it never happened. And then they want to penalize them when they need the help. We also have too many veterans on the streets.
Yes.
What the hell is that about? But we're going to put illegal immigrants in 5-star hotels. We're going to give them, the magic, unlimited, SNAP benefits card, $10,000, $15,000 on it. They're handing them cash when they come in the border. We're going to pay them to leave the country. I mean, the way they give out this money and they move money around like it's just monopoly money, and yet the people that are actually defending us that are right now, I mean, I know the guy's got a combat meal on Friday in Iran, the steak and lobster, and you know what that means? They're going to see combat. Yep. So I think it's going to happen any day now, that invasion.
I think it is too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Iran thinks threatening us. I don't think they have any idea, because I've already heard a lot of stories about the technology. They're going to be testing a lot of the technology that hasn't been used in battle.
Do they even have a president worth us flying in to kidnap? I mean, do they know who they're playing
already
with?
Moved out, tens of thousands of pounds in gold and silver. They've already moved out a lot of crypto. He's already decided that he's probably going to be assassinated. He's trying to figure out who's going to go in next. I don't think they're ready for what's going to happen. I think they're underestimating. Of course, they're threatening us with, these hidden cells around the U.S. And now they're posting that somehow they've got pictures of Donald Trump with minors, which is going to be total garbage, because there's no way that Iran has anything. So my point is that they don't get it. But at the same time, I know those guys that are sitting out in the water right now or sitting on airstrips. It's stressful. You get that combat meal, it's go time.
And that's the worst part of it.
And some of them aren't going to deal with it well. They're going to come back and they're going to have mental health crisis issues.
Yes.
They're going to be deeply ingrained. PTSD is a legitimate issue for many veterans. And the fact that they try to sugarcoat it is disgusting.
When do you think they're going to hit them?
I could see, what was it, Wednesday? I could see probably as early as Saturday if things could, continue to develop in the region. Now, I don't have, the security clearances or everything from it, but I am gathering a lot of information as much as my campaign can possibly get to for it. And I hate to see this, I'm really not for us going to war, sacrificing our young men and women to go out for it. But the thing is that we do have a country to defend. We have to look at the positioning in the region. And it's a necessary, I think it's a necessary evil at times, but I would much rather see our brave men and women sitting here at home. It's kind of this game that we play because I'm not like Lindsey Graham. I don't believe that the military industrial war complex needs to be utilized every single time there's an affair going on across the world. But also, I think that we should stop sending money to countries, period. I don't care what it's involved in. I don't care if it's Africa, Israel, Germany, whoever. I don't want to send them money.
I agree.
I don't think it's going to be a war. I think it'd be a battle, but not a war. And once we get rid of them, they should just change Iran, change it back to Persia. But I'm going to say Friday, and Trump has been known, or some people watch this show. I'm going to tell them why. It is Ramadan, and why not hit them when they're fasting too? Because we're not going to have less energy. I would do it Friday.
I think any time right after the, of course, we already had it. We already had the, the State of the Union. I felt like it was going to happen any moment post of that.
That's because I said that to you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. All right, let's talk about constitutional freedoms and limited government as we wrap this up. Ryan, tell people where you stand on that.
I believe that we should have the smallest government possible. I just find it ridiculous that so many of these federal agencies have power. When was the last time that the American people actually had a government that was fighting for them? I wasn't one of them. I'm still not. And, for me, limited government means giving the power back to the states and stopping all of this government federal overreach. There should be no reason that a judge from Washington, D.C., a bald Nosferatu-looking SOB, should be able to control what the president of the United States or Congress is doing. Those people were voted in. Now, whether or not you support Congress right now, I'm really not a big fan of a majority of what's on the left side. I think there's a couple of good actors on that side. And then when you get over to the right-hand side, what are we actually doing? What are we looking at here? We have all of the power to get everything done right now. We have the votes, and yet we're so disunified that we can't even get something across. Most of the stuff that's going to committees right now isn't working. So if we have to, I'm fine with the convention of the states. Let's bring it back home. We'll be single for a while, get out, mix and date, and figure out what we want to do with this country that makes America great again, for the third time, and see what's going on with it. But it's time. Like you guys, we have to get out and vote. You have to get out and vote. Take 10 people with you and go vote. Like, I'm sorry. Like we are not going to get anything done unless we give a shock and awe campaign where every American stands up and they get to the polls and they say, I've had it with this crap. We're done. Go vote.
Yeah, I agree. You got to get out there and do it. Ryan, how do people, of course, I also want to remind people, Ryan had a great interview on Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
I'd highly recommend you find that interview. We'll put the link in the chat. Go check it out. Great interview. A lot longer than this. And he really covered some great points. So I would recommend you give it a good listen, number one. Number two, Ryan, what do you need right now? How can people help you? What can they do to get Ryan Zink elected?
Well, just like I said on Tucker Carlson, I think that if anybody who believes in me, who saw this, donates $5, we'll probably be able to keep this district and go and fight it out at the runoff. Because right now, an independent poll came out, 51% of people still aren't sure who they're voting for in this district because it's so large. But the biggest thing that anybody can do right now to save this country is to talk about Jesus Christ. Take one person this week and go and talk to them about your faith. Go and talk to them about what God has done for you, like I do every day. Get out, because if we live under the protections of the Father, that is when we will see success, because his protections will come back in.
Amen.
It's a great message, Ryan. So listen, if you get over there, make a donation, do something, whatever you can do to help Ryan, because this is the kind of person we need in DC. It's the kind of person that isn't going to take any shit. I can tell you that. And at the end of the day, he says what he really thinks. I don't think he I don't think he's one of these guys that talks out of the left side of his mouth and says something out of the right. I've never got that sense. He's also been forged in fire, our own government weaponized against him unnecessarily, undeservedly. And all these J6ers deserve to be made whole. And that's a different topic, but I want to say this. It's not right. It's not right that the government isn't being held their feet to the fire. There needs to be accountability, transparency, and consequences. So Ryan Zink, find his website, make a donation, whatever you can do. Anything helps. It's always a positive. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We got our fingers crossed for you. Anything we can do to help you along the way, we're here to help you, of course.
Ryan Zink, vote.
We'll do what we can, absolutely. And get out there and vote. You know, if you're in Texas, you got to get out there and hit those polls if you want Ryan to win. So, George, last words, my brother, on the way out of the gate.
Vote for Ryan Zink, man. Go support him. Go, if you can give $5 his campaign, please do it. You guys want to get our country back, this is how we do it.
Amen.
Very simple. We make it simple. We try not to complicate it. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow.
I might have to let it drop. Said got it hella big, had the money back again, like said had the
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.